Hello, in this Steam Deck video, I've got something really exciting for you. I'm going to show you how to dual boot. I guess you can call it a dual boot. Some people don't call it or classify it as a dual boot, but how to install Windows. It could be Windows 10, it could be Windows 11. I'm doing Windows 11 on your Steam Deck. The beauty of this method is it doesn't overwrite your SteamOS. It doesn't split the partition on your storage. It literally installs it on a microSD card. And the microSD cards, because they're flash storage, they're fast enough to get the job done. So I've got two microSD cards. You only need the one. And one is just for my regular Steam Deck, SteamOS. I have a bunch of games, ROMs, and whatnot on there. And I've got another one. Again, both are 1 TB. Make sure you get compatible ones. It can be a bit fussy with certain cheaper ones. But yeah, I have a separate one. That's the one I'm going to actually install the OS onto. So first of all, you need to get a few things. You need to get obviously Windows 11 or Windows 10. If you just Google it, you can just go to the official website like so, scroll down. You just want the disk image, select download, and then just select that, click download. It'll take you to this website page. Now select your language. I'm going to do English International because it doesn't have a UK version. You can always change that in the settings anyway, so it's not much of an issue. Download the 64-bit version. You'll start downloading. It's going to take a bit of time, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so I forgot to mention, you're obviously going to need some way of connecting your micro SD card to your PC. This is on Windows, as you can tell. I'll have a separate video covering how to do this on Mac and Linux as well, because the process will be slightly different. So to connect my micro SD card, I have a SD card adapter that I put the micro SD card into. I put that into like a USB hub, and that connects to my PC. You might be on a laptop which has a built-in SD card slot, and you can just use the adapter, put it in, and you're all good to go. Either way, you got to connect it up somehow directly. Next, what you're going to do is download Rufus, and this is just a way of creating bootable drives. Windows does have their own version, but honestly, Rufus is an industry standard that everyone uses, and that is best. So just click Rufus like 3.21 or the latest version. You'll start downloading. I've already got it. And finally, I'm going to search for Steam Deck Windows drivers. Don't worry, everything that I've shown you so far, I will have a link in the description for, so you can just access it directly that way. Go to here, and then on here, there's another button you want to press, Steam Deck Windows Resources. And in here, right now, there are 6 downloads. So an APU driver download, a Wi-Fi driver download, Bluetooth driver, SD card reader driver, and 2 audio driver downloads. For when you access it, you may not have 6 downloads. It might be 7, it might be 5. Something might be bundled up, possibly. But just download the latest version of every single thing. You literally just click it, you'll start downloading. I've already got it downloaded, so we're all good to go. And we'll deal with this momentarily. Next, we're gonna go over to our drive. So put in, we just need to open up Rufus. Got the ISO right here. And here we go. Okay, so for this, select your device. Make sure you do select it correctly, because this will format everything. Obviously, I haven't got list USB hard drives, so any USB hard drives aren't listed. But if I deselect that, that's not what we want. To make sure that we don't select the wrong thing. So select that. You'll probably won't have this name, just because I've already set it up. And now for the boot selection, click select. Go to your downloads, wherever that is, select your ISO, and for the partition scheme, select MBR. For the image option, select Windows to go, and apart from that, we're all good to go. I'm going to rename this to say Windows 11, for example, and for the everything else, like I said, leave it as is. And yep, we're all good to go. I'm going to click Start. It'll ask you which version of Windows you want to install. I'm going to install, let's say, the Pro version, for example. Pro version, it doesn't really matter, it's your choice, but I'm going to do Pro. Click OK. And you can say prevent Windows to go from accessing internal disks. Fine, it doesn't really access them anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Let's just keep it selected. Remove requirement for an online Microsoft account. That helps a lot. And create a local account with a username. So I'm going to put Frahan as the username. Everything else you can leave as is. Click OK. And you'll pop up saying, do you want to, this is effectively, it's formatting the drive and everything will be lost. If at this point there's something on there that you need to keep, click cancel, copy it over, make sure it's securely backed up, and then, click OK. So this process can take a bit of time. Just wait patiently. I'm just gonna, fast forward this process so you don't have to, waste time on this. So a lot of time has passed since, if you look at the timestamps, since I started the recording. That's just because I had to pop out whilst it was still going. Takes a bit of time, and what I ended up doing was just leaving it to record. Obviously, all that you would have been skipped through anyway, so you won't have obviously any issues there. Okay, so now that this is all set up in terms of being able to boot from it, what we need to do now is add some drivers. All those drivers that you downloaded, you'll have these zip files, and you want to right click each file, and you can choose to extract it using something like WinRAR or 7-zip, or if you just click the extract all button, click extract, and you'll extract, just do each one manually, and you'll extract all of our drivers. So select all these, copy them, go to your microSD card that's been set up, create a new folder here called drivers. In here, paste everything that we just downloaded previously and have now extracted. These drivers will be really, really useful. And it shouldn't take too long, and then we'll safely eject the microSD card from our computer. Then we'll switch over to the Steam Deck to be able to set up Windows on our Steam Deck. Okay, now that that is all there, just eject it. You can either right click here and click eject, or you can just go down to here and click eject, like so. Make sure it's successfully ejected it. Yes, it has. And now we'll switch over to the Steam Deck and we'll continue the installation process for Windows. Now that we are on our Steam Deck, we need to boot into the boot manager that allows us to select what device we want to boot from. To do that, you can either do it one of two ways. You can either go to the more sort of BIOS sort of menu and click on boot manager, or you can do it the just direct way, which I'll show you that one. Also, forgot to mention, bear in mind, this tutorial does require TPM to be activated and enabled on your Steam Deck. You can do that by I'll have a separate video in the description covering that, so make sure you follow that video first. Basically, you need to put your Steam Deck into beta software mode so it gets the beta versions, and you can confirm in the BIOS that it is in TPM is activated. Okay, so what you want to do is press the volume down button and the power button over here at the same time. Keep them pressed until you hear a beep. It's only like a second or two after. Okay, you may have heard that beep. And the boot menu will appear. Now from here, select the SD card, so the SD MMC. It should only be the one. Obviously, another thing, make sure you have turned your Steam Deck off. Make sure you've taken the SD card out that you was, let's say, using if you was using a specific one for your Steam OS, and put your Windows one in. So this is assuming you've done that. Click A, and it'll start booting. You may notice that it's in the wrong orientation. That happens by default, and this logo will end up actually flipping momentarily. Right now it hasn't, but it usually does. So it usually puts it into portrait mode by default, and I'll show you how to actually put it into the regular mode as well. So that's not, not going to be an issue. There we go. It's gone into the more, so I want to say the correct way, the way that you would find it when you first set it up. So it's the starting services. I'm going to rotate the device for now, and once we actually get into Windows, the first thing we will do is actually change the orientation, then install drivers, and then there's just one little keyboard thing that we need to fix, or more enable I should say, and then we're done really. Just a little something to bear in mind. I don't know if it's going to happen whilst I'm doing this now. When I was testing this for the first time, because I've already done it once before to make sure I know what I'm doing. The first time I did it, it went through this getting ready process. It took ages, and then it just stopped, went into Steam OS. I was like, what's going on? I just turned the Steam Deck off. I went through the process of putting it back into the boot manager, and in the boot manager, I relaunched, selected the SD card, and it did work after that. So that's just something to bear in mind. If that happens, that's how you solve it. Okay, so it's done that thing that happened to me before. So let me just rotate. What I'm gonna do is just turn this off. Again, this happens to me. I think it might just be part of the process. I guess thinking about it now, when I have installed Windows just on a normal computer, like a custom build, it's gone through multiple restarts. I guess effectively this is just that thing, and this leads me on to yeah, he's shutting down now. Pretty sure it is. So this leads me on to the next thing. By default, it will boot into SteamOS, not into Windows. So you'll just have to make sure you turn it off, put it into. Let me do it now. The boot manager, boot menu, launch up or select the SD card, and from there, going to Windows. And I actually quite like that, to be fair, that by default you go to Steam OS and I just choose Windows if I want to. It's not that much of an issue. So I'm going to rotate, because it will rotate itself soon, and I'll move it up like so. I'll improve the camera angle, don't worry, when it actually gets into something that you really do need to see, because right now, nothing to see, to be fair. And obviously, the process so far, anything that's just been going on for ages and there's not much on the screen and changing, I've just fast forwarded. So if your obviously process is taking longer, don't worry, that is perfectly normal. Okay, so we are now in Windows, and this is just the startup process. And you can use the trackpad, but because it's moving it as if you had your Steam Deck normally, but because the screen rotated, it can be a bit disorienting. Don't worry, just use the touchscreen. I find sometimes you might have to click on things more than once. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, for the keyboard. Don't want to add a second keyboard. I'm going to click back. I've accidentally clicked that. Click skip. Okay, so asking to connect to the network. So I'm just going to click connect to my network now. And obviously, if you just click on there, the keyboard appears. So I'm just going to move the Steam Deck out the way whilst I connect. Okay, so now on the keyboard, just press enter. It will, verify and try to connect. There we go. Click next. So it's checking for any updates. Okay, just review the license agreement. And then Microsoft and apps use your location. You can click yes for that. Some things are better. I'm going to find my device now. And for saying diagnostics required only. And for improve inking and typing, no. These settings don't actually matter to your experience of getting it set up for Steam on your Steam Deck, Windows per se. So just bear that in mind. It's automatically logging me in as well. Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Getting things ready for you. Thank you very much. Like I said, the first thing that we're going to do once it actually launches is to just change the orientation. I'm going to put my phone down because my hand's going to get a bit tired from holding it. This again can take a little while. That's fine. I will just forward or just cut this bit out. Okay, so this happens naturally. It asks you to do these things again, and that's fine. After you do this, it does take you to the desktop, so don't worry. Again, I didn't want to skip any stuff like this and just say, just go through the process and not actually show you, because you might be thinking, why is he appearing twice? It happens to me as well, and like the reboot as well, for example. Okay, so still loading up. Obviously, the taskbar is still not fully loaded. It will momentarily. You should always just wait patiently. And now we need to go into settings. So you could keep that pressed. So and go to display settings, or go here and go to settings there. But I'm just gonna just keep my finger pressed. When that square appears, let go, and that appears. Click display settings. Again, I find it can be a bit awkward. Make sure the right one has loaded. Yes, it has. So now what we're going to do, and obviously from here you can control, oopsie daisy, the brightness as well. But you'll need the drivers, I find, usually to get a lot of the features like brightness and whatnot working. Okay, so display orientation, click that. Click regular landscape, not flipped. Click keep changes, and now if we rotate our Steam Deck, we're all good to go. So now that we are in here finally, and it actually is in the right orientation. So again, a little bit of housekeeping. You can just use the screen to touch and activate it as a mouse click and just a cursor of a mouse pointer effectively. And it's very similar to the Steam Deck OS desktop mode. So if you're used to that, you'll be used to this. You can use the right trackpad to move it, which is nice. You can click in. No, clicking doesn't work, sorry. But you can use R2 to click and L2 to right click. Very important. Now, let's go ahead and install all of those drivers. So open up your Explorer. Again, I prefer using the trackpad and R2 and L2 for the mouse. Go to this PC. And in here, we'll have these two, partitions, let's say. And so we'll go to Windows 11. And we want to go to drivers. Let's go to each one manually. So open the first one, and keep going, and launch up the setup file. Go to yes. Then I'll wide open up the start menu. Just wait for it to patiently open up the application. So this will be the AMD drivers. Again, just wait patiently, and then you'll have an install button momentarily. Okay, so now just click install. I mean, you can have a look at the additional options, but honestly, you just leave this as default. Click install. And that's it. So it's going to take about just under 4 minutes to actually install it. Wait patiently. And again, I'm just going to skip through this process. Okay, once this appears, you just want to click install. Click install. And that's the reason I like to not touch, anything on the device, like the screen or the mouse, and navigate to other stuff whilst this is occurring. Because any pop-ups, they'll definitely be on the top. Otherwise, they may not be. This happens, that's fine, because it's just APU drivers, which is the graphics card and the CPU. It's okay. And the screen will appear again momentarily, but again it's still going through the process of installing, and we'll be able to use the other full-fledged Windows machine very soon. Okay, so it says a system restart is recommended in order to complete the installation. We will restart it, but what we'll do first is install everything else, then restart it, and that'll just make things easier. So click finish. Now we've got to go back and install everything else. This is the one that's going to take the longest and would have been the one that took the longest to download and extract as well. Let's go to the next folder here, open up the setup file. Click yes for the UAC. I remember when Windows Vista first introduced user account control. Click next. Again, just let it pop up anything that it needs to. No, I will restart my computer later. And again, it's just easier just to do it all at once after we've installed all the drivers. And the next one. And for this one, you want to go to the the setup information file. Because setup information file. The one that's setup information there. You right click it. You go to install. So this one's a little different. Click open. Click yes. That's fine, that's all done now. We're halfway there. Now the next one, and again this setup information file, right click it, using now to go to install, click open, wait for it to complete, will not take long at all. And you can obviously just use the volume up and down buttons on the Steam Deck, the hardware buttons, to change the volume if you want to. Go to the next driver, and from here you want to go to install driver, not the devcon install driver button. Click more info, click run anyway. Okay, again, let's leave this as is, just installing the Bluetooth driver. So again, this just means that we'll be able to use, or after installing all these drivers, we'll be able to connect it to like a TV with some sort of hub or a dock for HDMI. We'll have make sure Bluetooth works, everything. Now finally, just install this last driver, and again, don't go to the setup, go to the install batch file. Click yes. Again, this will not take very long at all. Again, it's just one of those waiting games. You just let it complete, and once it's done, it'll close like so, and we're done. So we have installed all the drivers officially now, and we have almost completed the process. And I'm going to restart now. So go to the start button, go to power. Do not press restart. Press shut down. Okay, so that's shutting down. Why are we pressing shut down instead of restart? Remember I said earlier in this video, if you restart it, or when you boot it without selecting the SD card to boot to, it boots to SteamOS. We don't want that. So we're just gonna press the volume down and power button to go into boot menu. Okay, it's gonna go into the boot menu. We'll select SD card from here. When it actually launches, SD card. Okay, so again, this part of it's still in portrait mode. That's fine because it doesn't have any graphics drivers, or it doesn't have access to the OS at that point. That's just the UEFI BIOS there. But as you can see, the logo appears, the Steam Deck logo. And I like that it's using the Steam Deck logo with the the Windows loading thing, which is pretty darn cool. So it's got the Steam Deck logo. Okay, so once it launches up, for the first time after you reboot it, you'll say user's password must be changed. This is just because we have not set a password, so just click OK. It'll ask you to set a password. For the current password, you don't need to put anything in at all because we don't have one. So click the new password window, keyboard pops up, just type your password in. So I'm just going to move it out of the way, type my password in. Okay, password has now been inserted. Just press enter. We'll say changing password. Shouldn't have an issue. Password has been changed. Click the OK button. It will launch up into desktop momentarily. Obviously, feel free to change the sign in options to actually always just sign in without having to, type the password in, etc., etc. Okay, so now that it's launched up, sort of right click. Okay, so no, actually that's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm happy as it is. So now, last thing I want to do is show you if I press the start button and if I want to type something, like I'm clicking it, no keyboard is popping up. Because it's in desktop mode, it's assuming that you've got a keyboard connected to it. So we need to set it so if you don't have a keyboard connected to it, it will actually show the on-screen keyboard. To do it is really simple. This is something we need to set. So first of all, go to your start button, go to settings, and I'm going to maximize this. And on the right side, just scroll down to accessibility, and you want to find the keyboard section. Scroll down, on-screen keyboard. Okay, so that should now launch up the on-screen key. Oh. Nope, sorry, that's not what we want. My bad. Let's go back to settings. Go back to accessibility. Keyboard. And type in. Touch keyboard, click that so it drops it down. Show the touch keyboard when there is no keyboard attached. So yeah, that's the one. Select that. Go off it. And now if I click the Windows button, if I press the search, the keyboard appears. And now let's see if I go to Microsoft Edge. So it's launching up. Because it's the first time, you'll probably have some setup process. Start without your data. Feel free to install something like Chrome or Firefox as an alternative. I will be doing that as well. I'm just going to quickly go through the setup process. Yes. Okay, now, if let's say, we click on here, as you can see, when I touch the screen, it pops up, and that's it. So that is really it. Like I said, feel free to mess around. Feel free to change the theme. Feel free to change the sign-in option so it signs in automatically. There's a lot that you can do with it. Let me know if you want separate videos, essentially on going over Windows 11 or Windows 10, and especially on Steam Deck to cover, installing or enabling certain features like the sign-in option, for example. And like I said, little tip, when you are shutting or restarting, you press that, go to shut down, unless on restart you want to actually boot. Let's go off this. You want to boot into Steam OS. By default, you'll go to Steam OS. That's it. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the Discord group, link in the description. If you have any questions, or links for everything that I showed you will also be in the description. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.